You didn't do the signature move yet.
Yeah, no. She was just sitting there like, oh, hey guys.
I'm just waiting.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting
boys
attacked by
boys and
mosquitoes.
their antics. Good morning, everybody, to another Wake Up and Deliver. Today we got the three hosts. We're special today. We didn't have John last week. Kat helped out. Kat said, I want to come back again because we got some rocking good stories to talk about as always. And John just been talking about Portugal the whole time. So I don't know if we're going to get any logistics news. We'll talk about clouds in the sky, famous waterfalls, and other great things.
I got logistics stuff, actually. It was interesting to see for sure.
We'll start off with some reactions. We'll look for Kat's and John's reaction to my morning coffee for the brain. And here we go. Everyone knows what works. Few do it after it stops being exciting. Kat first.
I mean, sorry guys. I'm being attacked by mosquitoes. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's not doing anything for me.
Wow, look at that. Failure. Just pure failure.
We're having a team meeting after this, just to let you know. On camera, you agree to everything.
I didn't get that brief beforehand. Maybe that's something you should have mentioned.
Yeah. John, thoughts?
I'm on like Team Cat with this one. I don't agree. I don't know where this was pulled from or whatever, but like everyone knows what works, but few people do it after it's exciting. I think honestly, the things that often work aren't the things that are exciting, and that's why people have a hard time kind of keeping them up, right? Like everybody knows, about like the process or the specific steps you need to take or whatever it is. And I think in our industry especially, that's like one of those things that really defines it probably a lot more than other spaces, is that logistics isn't hard because it's like complicated to understand. Like it's not like brain surgery or anything like that. The hard part comes from having to just do it day after day, hour after hour, and always do it kind of right. So I think that the discipline of that and the challenge of staying dedicated to that is often where people know what works and then they don't do it because like it's not exciting. So I don't know where that quote was taken from, but
normally these things hit today. Clearly people don't like it. I still liked it.
What are your thoughts about it then?
I think it makes sense because once boredom sets in on any repetitive task and it's no longer exciting, your efficiency on it becomes less, right? So that was kind of my train of thought on it. When things get boring after a while for people, they don't find it as exciting to do or get it done to its optimal level.
I would agree with you. Maybe more on the sales side. I think that something like sales marketing very often will have a rush of like, "Ooh, I just came up with this new, offer, presentation, blah blah blah, whatever," and then the rush of seeing like all of the, sales come in or the leads come in or the whatever it could be come in, and then I think that just when you take the general conversion rate of all of those things, which is quite low for everybody in every industry, I think that that's where it becomes hard because everybody wants that newer thing or that fun thing. So I agree with you in that sense, but not in an operational sense.
Perfect segue, John. I love how we sync up brainwave wise on topics without you even knowing it.
I don't know.
My next thing is going to be a little bit for both of you guys, but Kat with her background in marketing would be an interesting take. Lately, I don't know if you guys have been following. I know probably John has, Kat to a certain extent, but AI video generation has been like the riot for the last 3 weeks. I don't know if you've seen videos or whatnot. You can do a whole bunch of creative things, but quietly, if you're not using it on your own marketing videos, it's going to be very challenging to be as progressive as others. And I'll give you guys an example. I wanted your guys' take. I don't think you've seen this one before. Hopefully the sound comes through, but we always have
the sound. The sound never comes through.
I'm trying with the sound, John.
Okay.
Okay. You guys ready?
Yeah, do it.
The play button's not on the actual screen. I gotta do it on the screen.
That's actually quite good. Um,
Was there sound?
there was no sound.
There was no sound, but also on my end, I don't know if that. Can you play it again, please?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Put on
good.
repeat for a while.
I do think this is interesting. You know what the biggest danger though of AI video generation is going to be for everybody, like no matter who you are, is that it's going to be a never-ending game of upping the standards and let's call it like either shock value or need for attention grabbing. Like, I mean, look at how quickly people scroll through a feed. You know what I mean? Like, obviously traveling with the kids and stuff like that, spending time in airports where we're waiting around and whatever, and seeing them on their phones. Insane just how quickly like they're processing, or like the yes no of like watch not watch, watch not watch. Like, it's really going to be insane, because it's like, yeah, this is a cool video, and then when they do it again, or the next 5 people do it or steal the idea or whatever, and it becomes completely meaningless, it's going to be the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. It's going to be very taxing, I think, for people to continue to come up with creative ways to catch people's attention. And I think the generation is just going to make it so much worse, because it's a lot more barrier free than traditional methods.
I think that the best way I heard it described is it's for the drug addicts. For the drug addicts of social media who need that 3 seconds of attention, and you're always going to have to compete up against that. And it might not, persuade you from traditional marketing, because it still has a place. But for that instant gratification of a marketing scheme where it doesn't build you longevity in your customers, but it creates a buzz for you. And I thought that was an interesting take. What did you think, Cap?
I think that, I mean, especially considering that that ad for IKEA, I think it's just like the AI aspect of it. I think instead of somebody being at home and trying to create it like a graphic designer and all of that, it's less time consuming, and you could come up with something this elaborate and with that many details in a short amount of time, right? So I think that would give a platform for more creativity, and you could actually train your AI or whatever you're using to actually get into your head and put it out there.
Yeah, and just to clarify, that wasn't an official IKEA commercial with someone designing.
I think they should use it. I think that's great.
I think it's great too.
Yeah, it's actually IKEA. I think it's wonderful.
John, you're going to say?
I think I think the interesting thing, and we talk a lot about this especially on the logistics side or whatever, is supply chain, because what we do is not always that interesting for a lot of people or whatever. They don't look at it the same way. I think there's going to be a real divide between companies that, getting views is one thing, but I think actually Jay posted about this like last week. I don't know. I saw it pop up or something at one point. The concept of like views versus connections or legitimate things. And you're seeing that discussion a lot about, do I really care if like I get 1 million views if, nothing comes from it, as opposed to getting 1,000 views, but maybe from 100 of the right customers or the right audience. So I think that kind of stuff is going to become more and more important, but I think it's also going to become a lot harder.
Called, John, what is that called?
ROI.
Yeah, ROI. Mr. ROI.
That's called
I think John was avoiding to say those 3 little letters just not to set you off again.
Yeah, I knew where he was going with that, but I do think it's going to be interesting to see how people like really break through, because the other problem with all of these creation tools is that it also then creates a lot of noise. So it's going to be very hard. So I think, and I've been saying this kind of stuff for a while. I think like the concept of like community connection, like people just feeling like there's so much noise. And look, even as an example on a couple of things recently, like traveling, it's like when you have nothing but choice or nothing but exposure to something that you don't know, almost any recommendation or sense of like a warm lead or whatever is going to feel that much better. Like, we kind of engaged with like certain people or offers or whatever, just because it was slightly warmer than unknown or whatever. And it's like, well, if it's the choice between random and something with some kind of warmth, most people will default to that than just still choosing randomness or picking out of a hat, so to speak, at that point. You know what I mean?
Kat, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Sure. I'm just listening. I was very
Involved in it.
concerned, but
Well,
yeah,
I was going to say,
agreeing with them.
what would your take be? Do you think if a logistics provider or even a consulting or a shipper had a video, not even less of a shipper, but a video to entice customers for logistics services based off of an AI video, do you think that's helpful for now? Like showing how quickly we deliver. You don't even know now if it's the actual truck or not. We can make it look like a non-asset has assets without proving they have assets by look at the video.
Here's the thing. I mean, with shippers and all of that, if you're talking about LinkedIn platform or social media, I just don't know how many shippers actually go online and look for that type of thing.
I don't
right?
I don't think
Especially
anyone I don't think anyone's looking for it though, and I think that's the
yeah.
It's not about, ooh, I need to find a provider, so I'm going to go on a social media platform to find it. But it's like, if
Right.
I'm going on a social media platform and I stumble across someone, right? And I think that was like a little bit of the Jay's post where he's saying, I've been getting leads through LinkedIn, through these posts and stuff like that. I'm sure that there's no one who's like, oh, I need to find a new carrier. I need to find a new broker. I need to find a new X, and is intentionally saying, better search LinkedIn.
Yeah.
As an example. I do think though that on their like as they're on LinkedIn, seeing certain people, seeing the familiarity, seeing the message that resonates, when they see it sort of over and over again, though, I think when they come to then make a decision or they have a need, that's when that concept of warmth or whatever, they're going to start to explore more the people that they've had some kind of exposure to.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's exactly what I meant by that, is that I also, I think it depends on what type of industry that person is in, because I found with the older generation that is still in the same company, they prefer going about it a completely different way, right? For them, it's word of mouth, it's a recommendation, it's their own relationships that say like, hey, I'm using XYZ for this. They've been amazing, great service, you should give them a try. I think that's the way. And then they'll obviously research, go on your website and things like that. But I think it depends on the person's age, really, and their mentality.
I think it's a great segue too, because then do you become the early adopter, knowing these aging logistics professionals who are at the top of the game are leaving the industry in the next 5 to 10 years, and the people who are coming in, called the younger generation than us, that's going to be the coordinators, the entry level, are going to be very heavily reliant on this type of finding, to quote John, the warmth and understanding and resonating with someone. They want to find people who are similar in thought, because they're not as social as the previous generation. So, called the older generation and us would have to go to committees, they would have to go to events, and that's how they would mingle and meet people. So it's very much handshakes, very much in person. Let's get to know everybody, and they like that tactile feeling of knowing someone. Like, I look someone in the white of their eyes. I don't know if that resonates with the generation that's coming, where it's more about that. What's your digital signature? I will know you through your digital signature, not through the handshake.
Exactly, know you. And because the reality is that, and I've kind of shared this in some of our conversations before, like a lot of the way that things are shifting feels like there's going to be so many people selling everything and trying to get attention that like people are going to use it as their any social media platform, whatever, but they're going to use it as their main filtering mechanism, so that it's like, I'm not even going to waste time trying to, network or meet or this or that until I've already, cut off a bunch of people. I've already cut off a bunch of the pool or the bench.
I've already filtered out who I want to talk to.
Yeah. So it's like, I might still then try to meet, 5-10 people or whatever, but it's going to be because of the fact that I've already seen them and stuff like that. So I think it's more important than what people think. And I really do feel that you're right, that there's a big shift coming with the way that people are going to experience and engage with service providers or products. I mean, products is obviously a little bit, I think, more ahead of it. I think service providers is coming though.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think no with products, yeah, for sure, but not. I don't know. I still don't agree with the whole service provider thing. I don't think that social media or any online engagement is going to change the fact that I think people will always rely on word of mouth and other people's recommendations. That's in my opinion.
For sure, they're going to do that. But I think that if you have people putting stuff out there, if they can get to know you, if they can get some exposure to you, and it becomes person with exposure versus person with no exposure,
Yeah.
I think those people with no exposure are just going to get almost completely pushed out unless they're just, got, to your point, really great networking and recommendations from other people that are extremely well connected and trusted,
Yeah.
or if they're just competing on price to an insane level. But that's such a losing game in what we do, to just always be trying to be the lowest cost provider, because you really have no differentiation then. So
Right.
I don't know. Let me get your guys' thoughts on this. So I was obviously on vacation, so I wasn't working, and I wasn't really doing anything from a real logistics perspective. But it's stuff that we think about all the time, so you're kind of always aware of it and what you're seeing. And the post I made this morning was the comment that I'm more convinced than ever now that the North American pursuit of like what we're doing in logistics and the way that we're thinking about it, i.e., we're trying to build more drones, we're trying to do more automation, we're trying to do more like AVs and these types of things, to still continue to perpetuate the model that we have, like, which is a lot of vehicle-esque delivery or service or movements, is on borrowed time. And I think that the technology is giving people some kind of like thinking or hope that it will somehow outsolve the problem. And after being over there again, like I was in Scotland in 2019, I was in Iceland in 2024, and now Portugal or something like that. I'm more convinced than ever that in the metro cities, especially because Iceland is very different, in the more metro areas and stuff like that, that we're outrunning, like, this problem is going to become huge. Because even in North America, where we have a lot more infrastructure, let's call it like space-wise infrastructure and breadth of all of that, I think that we're running dead set into the same type of problem. Because Europe, for example, in a lot of the cities has real physical constraints. The cities are much older. They've got the legacy. They're just built differently. In North America, the problem that we're having is that our housing market and our real estate market is going to create the exact same problem for people, in the sense that if you can't buy sprawling land and properties or whatever, and you have to go to these smaller spaces, these condos that they're jamming together, you're going to inherently end up with the same problem, even though we have more physical space. And I'm telling you, deliveries over there, double parking, certain zones where you could only park, people getting frustrated because, a car was in a loading area when it shouldn't have been, and blah, blah, blah. It's insane. And trying to keep up with this, like, execution of whether it's B2B delivery or fulfillment or B2C fulfillment, and thinking that you can continue to do it with one-to-one deliveries, it's going to implode.
Where's the reaction that you're looking for us?
I'm just curious as like your thoughts. Like it really just showed how impossible that situation is. And you wonder why things like lockers and out-of-home delivery are so prevalent in Europe. It's because people know that, like, the trade-off, and this is one thing I've been sharing a lot, the trade-off of all of the added congestion to have these one-to-one deliveries is absolutely not worth it, because it will grind your neighborhoods and your city to a halt. And that's one thing that nobody talks about over here.
I'll give you a great example. You, when you were in Portugal, how many steps did you do when you were there the whole week?
Oh, it was like anywhere from 15 to 25,000 a day.
And how many do you do normally in Ottawa in a week?
Probably unless you're putting, if you're putting a concerted effort, you could hit your 10,000 or maybe 12 or whatever. But I would say on most days it's like a 2 to 5, if at best. Like, you know what I mean?
And Europe is built that way, where it's a lot of walking, a lot of very close convenience. A great example for me is in Poland. My parents right now are in eastern Poland, and there's a store called Biedronka, which is like a convenience store. They're on every single corner, and they can grab everything they need within walking. Everything is within
Yeah.
walking distance. I was in Houston a few weeks ago, and you can't walk anywhere. There's no chance of you walking anywhere. There's no sidewalks. There's no city buses. There's no light rail transit. It is built for the car. They don't want that, and that's how the mentality is. So when that delivery aspect it changes, when you have all these little stores and the ability to deliver to them, you don't need giant trucks for the deliveries. You see little bikes coming by. You see like little cars, horse and freaking carts coming by to make a delivery. It can work. North American sense, bigger the better, but that creates a larger congestion.
Yeah, but I think it's also a question of completely different lifestyle. Like even comparison to the steps, for example. I mean, when I go to Europe, it's 100% guaranteed that I'm going to bank minimum 15,000 steps a day. In Toronto, probably not.
Yeah,
but to your point, but what would happen even in a city like Houston, right? But if like when I was in New York, like it was really interesting to see because even in New York, so New York City, right in Manhattan, I saw tons of deliveries happening, like tons of Amazon deliveries. Over in Portugal, even in Lisbon, I really didn't see that much actual delivery. You know what I mean? Like happening to consumers and stuff like that.
Well, that was my point exactly. Is I think that lifestyles are completely different, whether it's a walking thing or a delivery thing, or even the way people shop and their needs, right?
Oh, the shopping for sure is different. And but if you think about it, what would happen to a city like Houston, or what happens to like some of these like mid to large size cities, not just like the LAs and the New Yorks, if all of a sudden you add 1,000, 5,000 stupid drones running around those streets. There's already areas of Houston, even if in the suburbs or on the residential street, you can move around. The major arteries that connect all those things are only getting more and more congested and harder to actually like move through. None of them move well. Like, you know what I mean? And if you keep adding more vehicles to those roads to support the need for, you know, e-commerce delivery and for more like logistics activity just to get more stuff to people because all of these companies need to grow, those infrastructures are going to collapse.
Yeah.
That's kind of my position with it. And, you know, my thinking and my proposition being that the companies or the like, whether it's Amazon or whether it's some of these other types of competitive or alternative networks, if they start to really focus on not the next 2 years, but the next 10 years as like where they really need to be, they would realize that they need to start shifting consumers into thinking of like out of home or lockers or more consolidated pickup points, because this to home stuff will not be able to last with the way that you have almost ever increasing real estate prices, the need for people to like try to manage and stay, you know, in stuff that's more affordable. They won't be able to continue.
Water break.
Anyway, that's my my kind of take on it. Anyway,
I think, and I've said this before. You've said this before. I think Kat has said it before. The world of logistics outside of North America is vastly different. Like even in India, you can get a delivery within like half an hour of when you ordered something, because they have the density of that population where it needs to be to get it to the location it needs to be. And most of the rest of the world is like that because they have the density. And the places that don't have the density don't have the same mindset of I want it now. Right? And that changes the delivery aspect of it, where it's okay, I get it when I get it. And I think you get that a lot in even in Northern Ontario and the northern parts of Canada, where it's like...
Yeah, but can I ask you a question? And I guess both your opinions, you made a good point on what people are saying is like, I'll get it when I get it versus I want it now. Is it because they're not used to getting it right away? Or do you think that's just a question of lifestyle and mentality?
I think it's a slower lifestyle and how they operate and what they do. In communities that are outside the metros, they have a slower pace to needing things.
Sure, but again, is it because that's just they know that it's not possible that like an Amazon, like you could click like delivery before 5 p.m., right? is if those things aren't available and that's something that you're not used to, then of course I'm going to be like, oh, I'll get it when I get it. But if I know that I have these options and they're becoming more and more available, is it like, am I going to still think like, oh, I'll get it when I get it? Or no, I want this right now.
I think if the option is get it right now or get it at some point later, it's always going to be get it right now. But if I have the option of choosing when the delivery is, and it could be a week out, it'll be on a Monday at 9 a.m., I'm always going to choose my preference of when I want that delivery, is my opinion.
I definitely think the choice is there. India, though, China, these are some interesting markets, though, because one, you're right, they do have this insane density. I would also offer to you, though, that the rapid delivery and what's going on there is kind of benefited in two ways. One, from a segment of the population that's kind of moving up in a socioeconomic kind of position, with also like a lot of low cost like labor and low cost stuff. But like I was speaking to like a former coworker a couple of weeks ago who traveled to India not that long ago, and he was like, his comments were the infrastructure was terrible. It was just absolutely terrible. The mess of some of the areas. He was like, he's like, you wouldn't even believe it about how maybe unkept some of the areas were. And he wasn't saying it in a bad way. He was just really giving his feedback about different areas, not everywhere, of course. But the challenge for places even like India and China is, as the domestic volume continues to grow, India with their population, what happens if for every order that's going out today, a second one goes out? And all of a sudden you need double the activity that you need today almost. Those areas can't support that. No one's going to be able to support this like ever increasing need of additional sales and just grow on an infrastructure that most certainly can't keep up with that kind of like acceleration, which is why, I'm really bullish on the fact that like the whole concept of like e-commerce logistics or even B2B logistics needs to change in a lot of ways, because of the fact that this rapid fulfillment in the vast majority of cases is unsustainable almost everywhere.
I mean, is it unsustainable, or does it have, like you said, it has to change in the perspective? Like in Europe, they're doing the lockers as a way to help with the density, because it's hard to pin down a person when they're going to be there. And
okay. The point to point, like the one-to-one stuff is unsustainable. So lockers, out-of-home delivery points, whatever, like there needs to be like more one-to-many and not one-to-one. You know what I mean? Like that's what really needs to be more broadly adopted everywhere and as like more of a default mechanism.
And the postal system has recognized this a long time ago. That's why we have postal lockers to grab your mail. It's not at your house anymore, right? Yeah. And this was realized many years ago, and everybody said, "Hey, the post is so inefficient." And now they're going, "Hey, maybe those ideas of local postal spots is the way," which is the lockers. You're gonna say, Kat, something before I jumped in.
I know. I was just gonna say that. I mean, big cities have those things too, right? Like the penguin drop-offs or pickups or whatever.
Yeah, penguin pickup. Yeah.
Yeah. That was it.
But we don't use them enough. Like
no, oh no, of course, no, we don't. But because we have access to direct home delivery, what am I gonna walk a couple streets away when I could like have it delivered to my house, right?
And most condos have it at the receptionist or the concierge that you drop off any packages, and he holds on to it. He's essentially the locker for a condo.
Sure, but I think that's also because the delivery person does not want to go on every single floor and deliver package door to door.
Frankly, most condos, like you don't necessarily want the amount of delivery people, going into the building, because again, if you think of infrastructure, the elevators in the system was already built just for the tenants, not for another 100 delivery people a day going up and down and through the lobbies and whatever, right? So, anyways, interesting.
On that note, we're at time, John.
I see.
I feel like you're rushing us out, Matthew.
We're very punctual. We arrive on time. We depart on time. This is logistics. This is the cornerstone of our beings. Sure. Final thoughts. I'll leave it to both of you. Maybe.
Oh God, you know me. I'm gonna be like, take the time to relax, enjoy life, work remotely.
It's like as every company has like, we don't want to support this anymore because we don't want to compete with people all over the world. Yeah,
John, closing thoughts.
I don't know. Just the fact that like, I really think that people looking at, retail their sales and looking to be more efficient and effective really have to start really thinking quite differently, because just trying to push costs down while maintaining the same execution path is just not going to work.
On that note, please join us next week. Same channel, same appointment time, same location, same everything.
Same, yeah.
We'll see if Kat's going to join us next week.
I'll be back in the city next week, so it's not going to be.
Well, it's not going to be the same. We only want cottage
I don't think
life.
you guys.
We only like trees.
we only like relaxed Kat.
I could go to the park.
There you go.
Yeah, we could do that.
It's like, no, we're done here. Bye.
We're having a team meeting after this.
I'm busy. Sorry.
Yeah. On that note, bye everybody.
Bye, guys.